Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the spring webinar for adWISE. So we'll go ahead and get our webinar started. Okay, so what is adWISE? So adWISE stands for Advice from Women in STEM and in Science and Engineering. Our mission is that we were founded to help female and non-binary students in 8th to 12th grade find a mentor to help guide them through their high school career. These mentors are professionals in STEM and business. They will speak about their career journey and give tips to students who wish to pursue a similar career path. Our vision: by introducing students to different career paths early on, they can get a head start in picking their major in college and finding opportunities to stand out to colleges in that field. The opportunity to learn from mentors with connections to the field and insight will give students a distinct advantage in the future by enabling them to gain experience in it before graduating. So our first speaker will be Arti Narayanan. She was born and raised in India all the way through undergrad in chemical engineering. She came to the US for grad school at OSU for bioengineering, and she has over 20 years of experience in the biopharma industry and varying capacities within process development, engineering, and manufacturing. She is currently an innovation leader in process development at GNE, leading a team of multidisciplinary engineers, scientists, focused towards developing and implementing end-to-end next-generation technological solutions to deliver medicines to patients smarter, better, and faster. What motivates her? She wants being in business for life, and her personal interests include hiking, music, cooking, and yoga. Her valuable learning: she always likes to light the spark in you and follow the light in the spark in you and follow your passion, and this will automatically let you give your 200%. So she can go ahead and get started now.
Okay. Thank you, Sahana, for the wonderful introduction, and it's really great to see you all. I guess I'm still not sure about. I'm not able to see all the folks on the screen except Sahana. But anyways, I wanted to, thank you first of all to advise the organizers and Sahana for this opportunity. It's great. I'm happy to be a mentor, being very passionate about the field of science and engineering. It's really nice to see young folks like you also thinking about STEM and potentially pursuing a career in that field. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. Rather than being a monologue, right, I was wondering if this can be a little more interactive where you guys can get to ask me questions. As the slide talks a fair bit about my background, I have, I graduated with a bachelor's after my high school education in India. I went to a school called BITS Pilani and got a chemical engineering degree over there. And then worked for 3 years in a refining industry as a process engineer, and then decided that refining oil didn't cut it for me. So then came to the US for graduate studies, did my graduation in bioengineering, and then got into the biopharma industry. So I started my career with a startup, was there for about 3 years, and then I moved to Genentech in 2011 and have been there since then. And at Genentech, I don't know if many of you know, it's a biopharma, as in we make drugs for cancer, for Alzheimer's, for infectious diseases, autoimmune disorders, and so a huge plethora of indications. That's why I said what motivates me is being in the business for life. And based on my background in chemical engineering and bioengineering, I have worked in technology in the hardcore process development space, leading some engineering initiatives, capital projects, and right now, as the slide says, I oversee an innovation team within the process development department. It's really exciting because we look at anything, technology, process, procedure, anything that's novel and new and adds value to the business. I see somebody is commenting with a question. Yes, how did I choose chemical engineering? Where does your biology and chemistry knowledge come into play in your role at work? How did I choose chemical engineering? I mean, I have to be very honest here. As I was growing up, right, definitely math and science were my top 2 subjects. Yeah, starting from middle school. I really loved math, and I actually loved biology and chemistry as well. So after my I was sort of on the fence in whether I wanted to pursue a med track or an engineering track. And in it, just like here in India, when I was growing up, both are very competitive. And I ended up finally, I was not too clear. That's why, I would say, there are a few folks that are super clear. I was not one of them. I was sort of ambivalent with both engineering and medicine. And it so happened that I got admission into this really good school. It was one of my dream schools. And um, being passionate about biology and chemistry, and at the time for undergrad, they did not have a bio-E program. They had a chemical engineering program, and I knew that we could do biochemical engineering courses. And even though it's really not being a doctor, I always thought we can still help patients if I get into the biopharma and start making, medicines for patients, right? So that's sort of how I went into chemi. Does that answer your question? That's great. If folks have other questions. And one thing I will say, a food for thought here is, and this is true of my daughter, who's actually in high school as well. She's not very clear about, what she wants to do, like biology, engineering, or medicine, or maybe business. When we were growing up, there was not too many combinations, right? We didn't have a choice. Like I couldn't have done an undergrad degree with a major in engineering and a minor in business. But now there's so many opportunities for you all. So I would say, explore, ask that question, what gives you the most joy, right? Is it literature? Is it math? Is it science? Is it writing? Because don't underestimate, if you have good writing skills, if you do go get a PhD, you can publish, write, get papers out, get patents out, right? All those things require good communication, written communication skills. Is there another question? What does your day-to-day life look at Genentech? Day-to-day. So do I use the knowledge that I gained in school? Absolutely, yes. Whatever I learned in bioengineering and the internships that I did when I was in college, huge help, right? That laid sort of the foundation. So I went into cell culture. My expertise is in cell culture in the biopharma industry. And really what the experiments that I did as an intern, even in undergrad, where I was working with bioreactors, right? And that sort of gave me the love of cells and culturing cells and growing the cells, making them produce medicines for patients. So I would say, do I apply that even to this day? Yes, I do, because I coach people that are new. And in order to be an effective leader, you'll have to know the technical stuff, right? You have to dive into the detail, look at the data, analyze it. So that's sort of my day-to-day, I would say, is leading teams, leading technical projects, leading cross-functional initiatives, and then also getting into the details. The devil is in the details, right? So in some of the projects, I do like to get in not just broad, but also deep. So it's just, as a people leader, your day goes in, coaching folks on their own personal development, as well as on their technical projects. And then you do sort of a portfolio management of all the stuff that you have under you. So that's sort of my typical day. But it's really exciting. What motivates me is also the people that I work with. It's a great team. It's a great company. If any of you would be interested in interning later in Genentech, yeah, come talk to me. We definitely have a lot of interns. Sorry, let me just read the next question. First of all, did I answer Stacy's question? I hope I did. If you have anything further, just let me know. Okay, great. Thank you. Lana Ortiz is the next question. What are the job prospects for a biology major today? It feels like a vast field. Yes, it is. So again, this is something that I do have other folks that I mentor, and I always tell them that, yeah, biology is a really vast field, right? You could become a research assistant. You could do biology and you could take some programming courses and go into bioinformatics, right? Or you could do biology and some engineering courses, do bioengineering. So again, it's all up to you. Do you want to do science experiments in the lab? Do you want to get into R&D? Then you could go into research. Or do you want to go into the manufacturing technology space? Yes, that's possible as well with biology. So I mean, again, I would highly encourage folks to do internships, because that gives you a peek into what industry is like. Or you could just go get a PhD, become a postdoc, right? If research is your thing. So yeah, I mean, I would say first, follow your heart, do well, whatever interests you. I would say go after that, but then try to excel in that, right? Because people can easily see whether you're working just to make some money or you're working because you're passionate about it. The hiring managers can tell that. And my mantra all along has been, I don't want to be an average Joe, right? I could go, let's say, if I went and did computer science, I don't know if I would be where I am today, in the sense that was not something super that I was passionate about, right? But then I remember my parents telling me, you'll earn a lot more, right? Go do CS. Then I was like, no, I want to do what I want to wake up and go to work saying I'm totally excited to go do that, right? Whatever it is. So I think the huge advantage if you follow your passion is you won't be an average Joe. You'll excel in whatever you do, and you'll make a name for yourself. Okay.
Yeah. So I actually am interested in bioengineering. So what type of extracurriculars do you think students should like start getting involved in to like pursue a career in that field?
Are you talking extra activities related to academics or?
Yeah, essentially.
Okay. So in any job or in any field that you want to pursue in today's world, right? That I would say there are two really important C's that you need to have: communication and collaboration. These two super important skills, right? I can't be an effective leader if I can't communicate or collaborate. It takes a village, right? You can never achieve anything alone. So I think if you are looking to pursue a career in any field, get your communication and collaboration skills up. So show where you've done well as a leader within a team, right? First, you can't become a leader overnight. So first you have to start by being a team player. So any activities that you've done in groups, that you've mentored others, things like what you're doing right now. This is great, right? I mean, trying to get folks together of your age and background that are interested in STEM. So trying to do something for the community, that's great. The other one is, maybe something that you could do is to focus on that field. If you are interested in bioengineering, are there any, not Genentech, but there are some companies that will offer internship even to high school students. So can you go pursue some of that? Or I know for a fact that universities, definitely in summer, there is an opportunity for you to go, tinker around in the lab, right? Just go do some fun experiments, and build your resume showing what you've done in that field. Does that sort of answer?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Or even scientific writing is really valued, I would say. If there are science projects that you've done at school, that you can, that have you published something in your school magazine, right? Like taking things to the next step. That's what good colleges are going to look for, good companies are going to look for, right? That's what's going to set you. How are you going to make a difference, right? What's the differentiating factor between you and someone else? So going that extra mile. Oh, this is a great question. Very timely, from Rabia. How is computer science or AI gaining prominence in biological sciences? A lot, actually. a few months ago, I remember giving a talk about AI in biopharma, right? So right now, I would say machine learning, computer science, and AI, they're all getting integrated into, it's almost like it's all becoming cross-functional disciplines that are working together very closely, right? Like for example, even in my own team, I have folks that need to code and that need to develop AI ML models. And can I do that modeling? No, not yet. But then we both have to work in tandem, because it's all about bringing the process knowledge, right? To make something that's meaningful out of that technology. AI and ML, that they have a lot of predictive powers. Just like, for example, if I Googled something today, then tomorrow Google will ask me, do you want to go buy this stuff in Target, right? So it's trying to predict my interests. Like that, AI and ML right now are making a foray into every industry where they're sort of trying to, predict in supply chain, predict in your process, predict in your drug discovery. So there's a lot of areas where computer science and AI ML are applicable to the biopharma. It is real. It's very real. So in fact, if I even tell my daughter, if she's interested in biology, don't do pure biology, right? If you can do biology with a data science minor, you're going to be really sought after. That's who I want to hire. I want to hire people that have either, biology, biochemistry with some sort of data science minor, or chemical engineering, bioengineering with that sort of minor. Or if they don't, then I'm actually having them do some boot camps and go get those courses done outside, even when they're working. Oh, I don't know how I'm doing with time.
I think we're good on time. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And I also wanted to add a quick note that my email, I think, Sahana, you have my email. So I'm more than happy if folks want to reach out to me outside of this and have any questions, or they want to just have a conversation about how their interests are. I'm really happy to help. I enjoy sort of developing young folks like yourself. So yeah, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or on the email.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arti, for your amazing and inspirational talk and just letting students ask their questions directly and answering them. So we'll move on to our second speaker, Saranya. Okay, so Saranya Babu is a Silicon Valley technology executive. She started her career as a software engineer, and she has held leadership positions in various market-leading brands like ChargePoint, Instapage, and Rike. Most recently, she served as the Chief Marketing Officer at Cloudinary. She is a recipient of the 2021 Silicon Valley Women of Influence Award and shortlisted in the 2020 BNT Women in Media Award. So I'll hand the stage to her.
Thank you, Sahana. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the session. Thank you so much for joining. So I'll start with what Aarti left. So I have, you'll have access to my email address, and please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very, very happy to talk to folks and just make the connection with the next generation. I always enjoy that. And if my words can in any way, shape, or form influence anything, your life in any way, that would give me utmost fulfillment. So definitely do not think you're intruding or anything. Connect with me, and I'll type. Yeah, that's my email address right there. Thanks, Sahana. So I'll give you like a 5-minute overview. So I also grew up in India. I was born in South India, one of the hottest places on the planet. It's called Chennai. Grew up there all my life. Actually, never even visited any other places in India. And then one fine day, just flew halfway around the world. So I'll touch a little bit about a few things that may be relevant, right? I know this group is the target audience is women and non-binaries. So I'll talk to you about some of those experiences throughout my life. So I went to a girls' school, all girls, only a convent, for 14 years. And then I went to and did computer science and engineering at engineering college, and then I came to the US. So a few things where, and I've seen both sides, right? Being in all women type of environment, as well as being in a co-education environment, which is what most of you, I assume, are from. There are advantages and disadvantages. Being in a girls only environment taught me that there are no, so when you're all girls, you have to take up every role. There are no roles that are allocated for men versus to women, right? So that definitely gave me the experience and the mindset that nothing is beyond the boundaries for women, right? You can do everything, and no role is kind of a man only role or a woman only role. So definitely I value that learning from that experience. And then I came to, I think that prepped me very well for the environment where computer science and engineering, like most STEM fields, is heavy on kind of skewed to males, right? So we were 20 women, 20 girls in a class of 75. So that was also, I would say, a great experience in being a minority, right, in a setting, and how the challenges that brings, and how you kind of learn to survive and shine and fight your way through that. So definitely valuable learning for me. And then came here for my master's to Buffalo, which is one of the coldest places on the planet. So not a lover of snow or anything, but I came there. So I was already very prepared for the kind of setup in engineering, right? Which is you may find yourself as a minority, or sometimes the only female in the group. And I was very well set up for that because of my experiences. And then so from a career standpoint, the one thing I would say is, before I go into my career, high school is a very important stage, and college is very, very important as well. I myself was able to go get into a good college and then build my career from there. But one thing I want to say is, there are so many rounds in life, and there are, high school is only the first round, and college is only these are all one of the first few rounds. If you get a head start in these rounds, good for you. You'll be able to kind of go ahead a little faster. But if not, it's still not bad. There's so many rounds for you to catch up. And I say this because I made career switches in my life a couple of times. And every time I made a switch, I went back to zero, right? You start from scratch. And it wasn't that bad. It was actually, I was able to you work hard, and there are ways to kind of surge ahead. So it's never too late for anything. Now, 30s, 40s, 50s, it's never too late to try anything new. So when you're in high school, and I know that you're talking to college counselors, and many of you assume that you should have kind of achieved something already and know exactly what you want to do. And if you don't, that's fine, right? It's actually very expected and normal for you to kind of either not know what you want to do, or think you know what you want to do, but not so sure, or sometimes you're sure what you want to do, but it turns out to not be the one, right? And all of that is perfectly normal, actually expected. I do have a high schooler myself. I have two sons, so he's not the audience with this particular one, but so I kind of see the expectations that's foisted on the head of high schoolers these days, and I feel that it's some people may do well in that, but sometimes if you don't know what you want to do, it's okay. It's perfectly okay. I think the most important thing is for you to explore, right? And when I took computer science, I actually did. In 1999, right, I did a project in face recognition, which was all AI, when AI was just a buzzword, right? But now I use AI day to day in my jobs, and I'm in marketing actually, and not in computer science anymore. I'm in tech, but I use it hands on, right? It's become mainstream. It's become part of our lives. So with all of that, so my career, I'll do 2 minutes on that. I started as a software engineer back in the day, when old stuff, right? It seems so old. It was so fresh not so long ago, but no cloud or anything, right? It was all kind of embedded systems. So software engineer for 7 years, did some product management, then moved to marketing. I did my MBA at Berkeley, and moved to marketing. Because the reason why I moved to marketing was because when I was a software engineer, I was very disconnected from the business side, right? I was able to build things, but I didn't know why I was building, or what was the relevance of what I built to the customers, right? And that was a huge aha moment for me, because whatever I thought was really cool, the customers didn't think was cool. And then what the customers really valued was not really a cool project from an engineering standpoint. So for me, that was a huge disconnect. It's really kind of the disconnect between kind of the idealistic thinking and real life reality, right? It was for me that that disconnect, when I've had to face that disconnect in my life. So I went to the business side. I wanted to kind of go to the other side to understand that mindset of like how are business decisions made, right? Because in engineering, everything's black and white. You build a software, it works or not, right? There's no like, no gray areas. On the business side, everything is gray. Like, what do you want it to be, right? So it's very different mindset, and the mindset change was, I would say, one of the most important growing moments for me in my life, like where I thought I grew and became a better professional. So definitely a growing moment, kind of moving from the engineering to business side. And then I've been in marketing last 15 years, been in leadership roles for the last 8 years. And, I can talk about it all day long, but, I'll summarize some of the key things that may be relevant for many of you. So again, I made a switch from engineering to marketing, and then I made a switch from individual contributor to leadership. So I made a lot of transitions, and all of them put me back to scratch, right? So when I made the transition to marketing, I was already a senior software engineer, but I had to go back into entry level, right? Took a pay cut and I went back down to like scratch, right? So I've done this. Sometimes you have to do that if you kind of are able to visualize a kind of a path, and it does require to take a detour back to scratch. So I've done those transitions, and if I look back, there is no way I could have known that this is what I wanted to do when I was back in high school. Like, marketing was not in the list of things I ever thought I would do. So it's never too late, but you will kind of, life has a way of taking you to those kind of points where then it becomes clear to you what you want to do or what you're good at doing, right? And all of these things evolve a lot. So then what can you do in high school? I would say, don't be hard on yourself. There's two things, right? If you think about your career as a car, the direction comes from what you're passionate about. Like Aarti mentioned, right? Like, follow your heart. Like, think about your passion. What you're passionate about, that gives you the direction. But what you're good at, your competencies, is the fuel, right? You need that. There has to be a match between the two. And sometimes you don't have to be the best in everything, but you need to have enough to fuel that once you have the direction, right? So I think that match is important. So I would explore everything, right? So even when you say computer science or STEM is huge, right? STEM is like a jungle. But I would at least familiarize yourself with what each of those things mean, right? So for example, you could look at what is industrial engineering, what is manufacturing engineering, and within those things, then you can kind of go deep down, right? So I would do the first round to eliminate, like, okay, so this really doesn't sound like something I want to do, like, eliminate that, and then you can kind of dig deeper into, try to understand what those things are, because even within computer science, there's so many things, right? Data science is absolutely amazing. There is AI, there is systems, and there is all kinds of things. So you want to at least understand what these are at a high level. Like, if you're going into like a field, try to understand like the different options in the field, just at a high level. Eliminate the ones you think are like absolutely not your type, but keep the rest of the doors open. And then you may want to talk to a few people doing that, because sometimes a job sounds really fancy in terms of what the job produces, but the day-to-day may not be as motivating or exciting. Sometimes the day-to-day is absolutely fascinating, and then you may not really like the kind of what that looks like from an outside standpoint. Whatever that is, I think talk to a lot of people, try to understand how they pick their career, the career options that are available. Try to understand that. Do a few. Internships are great, even if you want to like do a little your own kind of projects, right? It could be anything, like a research project, or just trying to understand, right? Go a little, some personal research, right? So that would also help. But I think understanding different options, start a process of elimination, and be open, right, to having to completely redo or change or shift gears. It happens in life, and that's how the best people win. So anyway, I'll stop here. Any questions, let me know, and I'm happy to answer. All right, so I'm seeing a few questions here. So glad to hear. It's okay not to know exactly what you want in high school. Thanks for sharing, Kyriapa. Of course, you're welcome. Is business a good bachelor's degree, or is it better to pursue after a technical degree? Okay. So this is a very important question, right? So back in my day, the answer would have been different because a college degree, right, a formal degree was your only path to, only for most of us, right, was the only kind of credible path to a good career. It's not so anymore, right? Because when there is the whole learning process, right? Learning has become democratized. It's available to everybody anywhere, right? There's Google, but not just Google, there's Coursera and Udemy and all kinds of, if you want to learn something, you don't need to go to college, right? Like you don't need to go to school or anything at all. You can learn it. So that's a good thing. So I would, then what do you do with the college degree, right? So I would kind of pick, from a degree standpoint, that any skill, whether technical skills or business degree, you can do the courses right outside. When I did my MBA, when I did my engineering, the most valuable thing I learned was not just the C or the C++ or any of those languages, right? It was the fundamental core, right? The fundamentals of how the computer works and the basic concepts, the inner workings and that, right? Was the most important thing, my understanding of the fundamentals. Versus when I did my business degree, what was most valuable is not the actual fundamentals or anything. It was the mindset change. Because for the business, it's a mindset. It's kind of understanding how case studies, right? How other businesses made decisions and how they turned out. Because at the point you made the decision, your visibility is usually low, and you have to make decisions in uncertainty. Kind of going through that, it was a mindset change, right? So these are two different degrees, very, very different fields, and what you get is very different. So if you are going to be in STEM and you're going to be an engineer, right, building things, or in STEM, in that field, I would say go for a technical degree, because you need to understand the fundamentals, and you can still get them outside, but I think the fundamentals are best received and learned in a more formal setting through years of kind of, these courses are put together to kind of work off of each other, right? They help you build a very strong foundation. It's just in computer science, right? Like how the operating system works. Like we had to build a compiler, assembler. That understanding, I don't think I could have gotten outside. I could have, but it's very tough. I would recommend a technical degree in that case. Now, if you're going to go into business, no STEM, like my second son, he doesn't want to do medicine, no engineering. So he's like, okay, business is broad enough and it's good enough. It offers a lot of opportunities, and everybody, it's as ubiquitous and as needed as the technical side. So business, if you decided that it's not STEM, then I would recommend doing a business degree. But if you're going to be in STEM, I would definitely recommend a technical degree, because the business side, then you can in parallel do a business minor, or it comes with a mindset. So you can get it on the job and then later do an MBA, or that would also work. Any follow-up questions to that question, Lena, for that thing? If so, just type it in and I'll follow up. Next question is, what are some ways you use your, all right, welcome. What are some ways you use your software background in your current job? Okay. So I am an engineer in a software, that's never going to go away. The way I do marketing is also very, very similar. And it's kind of, I would have been a different marketer if I hadn't done my software engineering, right? So for example, when I come in and I'm building, so marketing is all about how you acquire customers, right? What channels, like Facebook is a channel, for example, or events, right? That's a channel, for example. So you try to acquire customers, TV advertisements. So you want to acquire customers, you want to educate people about your product, and you want them to buy your product, right? That's what marketing high level is about. And for that, you need you need to be able to reach, you need to know who the audience is, you need to define them, you need to be able to reach them, and you need to be able to make them aware about your product. That's the awareness. And then you have to give them reason to buy, right? So that whole process of acquisition. So, and there's a lot of storytelling in it, awareness, branding, and all of that. But really that's marketing. But the way I approached it, and there's so many people, right? So the way I do it is I look at that and I don't try to just do things, right? I try to build engines, growth engines. So, which means you build a machine, right? That will then run on its own. So that's a very software engineering type of mentality. Now, marketing itself in the last, I think, 10 years has become extremely technical. So it's become a very technical field. It's not, it used to be a very creative, only type of field. It's not anymore. Because I'll give you an example, right? So when you try to acquire someone from Google, right? Like, let's say you have a product that is an app for applying to colleges or something, right? So that's the product that you want to sell. You want to sell it to high school students that are ideally in 12th grade and 11th grade, right? Or that would be your audience. So then how would you reach them, right? One way they would be doing it is, so they're all going to Google and searching. Everybody searches on Google. So they're probably looking at, queries about what are the top colleges, top STEM colleges, top engineering colleges, or anything related to colleges. So Google gives you all that data about how many people are searching for what keywords, and then if you have to place ads on those keywords, how competitive they are, how much you have to bid, and all the data is available. So we look at that data. So first step is data analysis, right? You get the data and you analyze to see what does the population look like, how expensive it is, what audiences are worth going after, because you can see how much you can get out of an audience, how much it costs. So that whole, it's all numbers and it's all that. So you model that. And then from there, you pick your kind of audiences. Then you go into the software. Google Ads is again a software. Then you go set up everything, right? So that requires some technical, without any technical skills. It's not a lot you can do. So you go in there, it's an app where you set up the audiences and everything. Once you set it up, then it's running. Then you have to constantly, every day you're watching what's happening and you have to optimize it. So for example, you see 3 campaigns and one is doing well, one is not, then you turn off this one, put more budget into that. So it's a lot of optimization, A/B testing, which is all very technical, right? We did all of that when I was a software engineer as well. So optimizing, testing, and then scaling that, right? And watching that go. So there's a lot of mathematics and a lot of modeling, AI. I've built machine learning models in-house to actually look at all the customer data and then learn that so that we will be able to predict when our trials are coming in, we're able to predict what the revenue would be within an hour using our machine learning. So it's all becoming intertwined, as Aarti mentioned. Like, there is no field. Every field is getting digitized. It's called digitization. Every field is now getting digitized, and technology is being used in every field, right? So that means it's not like software is a separate thing like it used to be a few years ago. Now software is kind of like it's like your Excel or Zoom, right? Like, it's part of everybody's every field. So software, even coding, no code, low code, it's all becoming part of that. So, what is a female in your workplace? No, wait. Congratulations on the awards. What are some challenges you faced as a woman growing in corporate life? So this one is great. So thank you for the question, Rabia. So one thing I would say is, as a minority, right? Any flavor or type of minority, for me, it could be the gender. It could also be the nationality. It could be my immigrant status, right? So I was not born and brought up here. And so, if you look at the people, how many were kind of, second generation versus first generation, or your race, right? So many aspects in which you will be a minority. Even, you could be a majority in many areas, but you will still be a minority in multiple dimensions. I think gender is one such. So there's always challenges, because when you're a minority, it's not that people want to be bad to you, right? It's people have the best intentions. That's what at least I've seen. I've been lucky enough to be in environments where everybody has good intentions, but they just simply don't understand, right? A problem that is not that common for them, right? So it's hard for them to understand, and so when they make decisions, they're going to most likely not take your specific problems into consideration, because there's not enough voices to surface that. So, and that would be the same with being a woman, right? So, for example, I'll give you a very, very silly example, right? So we would have meetings at 7:45 in the morning, and I am not a morning person at all. So in my executive team, I think I'll address the second question, which is how many women. Unfortunately, the ratio of women drops as you go up the leadership ladder. And in my executive team of 12, there were only two women. but the ratio was much better at the individual contributor level, and it became kind of it was reducing as it went up. So unfortunately, I think it is a reality at this point, but I think there's no frictions or barriers if you want to get to that level, right? I've not faced any like, and I've first of all, I think I've not been afraid to seek it, and I've not been afraid to fight for it, and I've not been afraid to be in it, right? So that's all you need, because it could be intimidating, but the intimidation and all the fear is really in your mind, right? Now, what I face, I'll give you an example, right? A silly example: 7:45 meeting in the morning, and I'm me and the other woman, right? Only two women. For me, I don't. So it's Zoom meetings, so you don't have to really kind of have a shower or anything. You just need your half here. So the thing is, early morning, sometimes I won't turn on the video, because I do want to at least wear my lipstick and some basic things, right, before I have to like kind of see myself in the video. It's very traumatizing for me to see myself in the video, and the video is not, going to make you look good or anything. It's going to make you look worse than how you think you look. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm not going to turn on my video if I've not, gotten the time to get ready. And so once they were talking about, hey, people turn off their videos, that means they're not engaged. So I actually had to speak up, right? At that point, I said, look, I don't think that's the case, because in a lot of cases, the women, at least I can speak of women and say that if they've not turned off the video, it's not because they're not engaged. It's because they probably don't want to see themselves in the video at this point. They're not ready for the video, whatnot. It doesn't mean they're, but it was new to them, right? Because they just assumed they're all men. They just wake up and they come in the video, and there's nothing they need to do, right? So you have to assume that people may not understand what your specific problem. So they never even thought, oh my God, so you have to get up and like, I have to like do a little bit of my hair and a little bit of my tidying up, which takes me 5 to 10 minutes, right, at least. So I have to explain. It's a silly thing. You think it's a silly thing, but for them, it's like, oh, we didn't even think about it. So you will have to, I wouldn't put them as challenges, but I think you have a bigger responsibility. If you're a minority in any dimension, in any group, you will have to educate the people. You will have to speak up for the group, because people just don't understand. It's not that they want to suppress you, right? You have to speak up and you have to explain. And then slowly kind of, people are open to that, and you bring, that makes it easier for the rest of the ones that follow. But that's all I would say. Same thing, right? If you're a working mother, working parent, that brings a lot of challenges too. The same thing for fathers as well. I don't want to like make it a woman only thing, but if you're a parent, sometimes single parents, it's very, very hard. People may not understand that you have to actually pick up the kids and drop off the kids, and so the timings, and they may put a meeting, right on top of it if they have a spouse that takes care of the kids and they don't have to do it. So all of those areas, it's the same challenge. You have to assume positive intent. You have to assume they don't know it, and you have to then educate them, make sure that the setup is friendly for all types of people, and you have to speak up sometimes and educate. So that's that. The ratio of male, I think I talked about that. I need more AI/ML modeling help for predictions. Of course, I'm happy to talk about it anytime. All right. All right, I think that's all the questions that are here. But hey, so you have my email, you have my, you can find me easily on LinkedIn. Connect with me any point you have any questions about college life, career, managing career in college, stress. I'm always happy to talk.
Yeah, so I have one last question. So you mentioned that you like switched jobs and careers a lot. How would you like maintain your motivation? Like if like a workplace wasn't very welcoming, like how did you like maintain the motivation throughout your life?
So two things here, right? You always have to find a workplace where you would want to go there, wake up and go there every day, right? Or go into Zoom or into the place. But I never compromised on that part. Like when I found myself in a place that was toxic, I left. Like I'm not putting up with it. So I would definitely not tolerate a place that is not making you happy. That's a place that is causing you stress. So your happiness is really important. So I never let myself kind of go through that. So it was always a place that was, I had good people, really good people, respectful people, well-meaning people. The reason why I switched was either because at that point my job became irrelevant, right? Either because I've reached a point. So for example, I'm CMO now. The next step for me is CEO, but we already have a CEO, so it's not like so whatever that. It's not because of bad people or anything. Either you want to go to the next step and that particular position doesn't exist in this company, that opportunity doesn't exist, or it could be that the company changed, right? For example, one of the companies got acquired by another company and then they completely merged everything. So it's not the same company anymore. Sometimes it's because they want to, oh, my boss has been let go, and then so it's another person, and then I need to see. So your manager is an important. So many different factors like that. But one thing I've never compromised on is putting up with a place that in a place that's not that's kind of impact my happiness.
Awesome. Thank you so much. If no one has any other questions, then I guess we can go on to so thank you so much, Saranya, of course, for this amazing segment. I think it really gave like a lot of insight on the growing field of technology and how it's going to be a huge part of our life moving forward. So I know some students had some questions regarding the next steps for adWISE. So we're going to send out a form as well as a recording of this meeting. And so thank you to everyone who attended this webinar. The form will ask questions regarding your interest and what you're looking for to get out of the mentoring opportunity. The mentors will then go over applicants, and each of them will select 2 to mentor. Supposed to say 4 for the Spring'22 cohort. And our next webinar the date hasn't been decided yet, but our next webinar will most likely be a college, it'll be a webinar regarding tips from a college counselor, and he'll be speaking regarding any tips people have regarding college applications, and for younger students who still yet to decide what they want to pursue, they can go ahead and ask any questions to him and what they should start getting involved in. So yeah, that's all. Thank you to everyone who attended, and we will send out an email regarding mentoring as well as a recording of this meeting. Thank you to everyone.
Hey, Sahana. Hey, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. It was lovely meeting you all. And thank you, Rabia, Lena, Stacy, for the questions. All right, bye.
Bye.